Hello boys and girls, this is Miss Gabby and today we're going to be reading the poem Rabbit Habit by Leanna Mahoney. Now I know it's been a long summer, but a poem is different than a regular book that you would read from a library. But boys and girls, why do you think there is a difference? What makes a poem different from a regular book? And an easy way to tell that what we have in front of us is a poem is because it's broken up into sections of text like these called stanzas. Another good way to tell if it is a poem is by looking at the ending word of each verse. So for instance, in this first stanza we have habit, chew, sticks, and two. And by reading those words out loud, you could probably tell that habit and sticks does not rhyme, but chew and two does. And when you see a pattern like that, that is what we call a rhyme scheme. So we have the rhyme scheme A, B, C, and B. Now the reason why we have B and B here is because chew and two rhyme. And a good poem has to have the same pattern throughout the whole poem. So by looking at stanza number 2, we have again habit, munch, grapes, and lunch. Well, we could tell again that habit and grapes, the first and third verse do not rhyme. And then we have munch and lunch, which rhyme. And by looking at that, we have the same rhyme schema for both sets. And throughout your reading journey, you will encounter other poems similar to this one that will have different rhyme schemes along with it. So you might see something that's A, B, A, B, A, B, Z, D, meaning no rhyme, and so on. All right. With that little review on poems complete, let's take a look at what we have here. So, we have The Rabbit Habit by Leanna Mahoney. I have a rabbit habit. I like to crunch and chew on celery logs and carrot sticks and apple wedges too. I have a rabbit habit. I like to chomp and munch on crispy greens and juicy grapes. Rabbit food for lunch. And did you see as we read that poem how well it flowed with the words and how descriptive it was when comparing the different foods that rabbits like to munch? And for instance, a good way that you could tell that that was happening is because they describe how they like to crunch and chew carrot sticks and celery logs and apple wedges. And that makes sense too. Have you ever eaten an apple or a carrot? What's the sound that it normally makes? Well, like it says, a good old crunch and a good old chew. And that seems to be the going theme throughout this poem. It's pretty much the writer explaining to the reader what kind of foods they like and that it is a rabbit habit. However, why do you guys think that they call it a rabbit habit throughout the story? What exactly validates this statement? I mean, they're talking about carrot sticks, celery logs, juicy grapes, crispy greens. Well, what do all those foods have in common? To me, it sounds like fruits and vegetables, which are very healthy in a normal diet. So nothing like McDonald's, fries, hamburgers, stuff like that. Something greasy wouldn't be what a rabbit would eat. And with that, they're using that formality of a rabbit habit to compare how they eat. So, what might your rabbit habit be? Do you eat your fruits and vegetables? Or maybe you call it a different habit? I know for me, I might have a little bit of the fast food habit, but it's always good to adopt a good habit like this one and eat your fruits and vegetables. Another thing I would like to point out is that as you look at the different stanzas, they pretty much follow the same format. So the first verse starts with, I have a rabbit habit. The second describes what they like to do to the foods in the next verses. So I like to crunch and chew. I like to chomp and munch. And then third, they talk about those foods in descriptive ways. So on celery logs and carrot sticks, which by looking at it, definitely looks like a stick, and a celery in your mind probably looks like a log. And then lastly, apple wedges too. And then for the last one, they follow that same format from the first stanza. They talk about the rabbit habit, how they like to chomp and munch, and don't forget the crispy greens and the juicy grapes. But this last one, they're ending to complete the story. But I would like you guys to think, if you were to continue this poem and add on more foods that result in a rabbit habit, what might you add? So, I would like you guys to stop and think for a second. What other foods might you add to this poem that conclude with a rabbit habit? And I would like you to take time now and pause the video and grab a sheet of paper. And then I would like you to continue this poem. So instead of the first and second stanza, add a third stanza at the end. try your best too. While you're writing this, read it out loud and make sure it makes sense in your head and that it flows with the theme of this story. And the writer already gives you a hint on what to start with for your first verse. So, for instance, it has to be I have a rabbit habit. And in the second verse, they also start with the same 2 words, I like. And then you just have to add the verbs that associate to the foods that you chose. And make sure you're using different verbs to represent what you're eating than what the writer uses in the beginning. Alright, I hope you guys gave yourself enough time to come up with the next stanza to this poem. So, for an example, this is the stanza I came up with. I have a rabbit habit. I like to nibble and gnaw on sweet oranges and tomatoes as I finish and gnaw. I wonder if you have something like I do. Do you like oranges, tomatoes, or you like something else? Either way, that's okay too. At least at the end of this video, we can say we know how to make a good rhyme when it comes to the rabbit habit. Alright, and with that complete, I appreciate you guys joining me here today as we looked over this poem, Rabbit Habit by Leanna Mahoney. I hope you learned something new today, or just refreshed your skills as you ease up into the new school year. Thank you. Bye.